that does it for the interviews today. Now, as I mentioned many times, UFC 157 that goes down this Saturday. Not UFC 157, UFC on Fuel TV 7 goes down this Saturday. UFC 157 goes down in less than 2 weeks, and that means it is the return of Rick's Picks Challenge. I feel like we need to get a theme song or something for this. Can you work on that?
Yeah, I'll think of something.
What's going on back there today? I hear a lot of laughing, a lot of good times. Is this what Leanne does back there? Does she infuse this kind of happiness?
She boosted the morale. We needed it.
All you were missing was a female. Is that it, basically?
Yeah.
All right. Well, good to have you on the team, Leanne. Now, have you been focusing on the picks, though? That's the most impressive, the most important question.
Yes, I have.
You have. So you're ready. There's a lot at stake here. You're at what now?
I believe it's 63.08.
63? Are you sure it's not 60?
Yeah. Maybe it's... Here,
whoa.
63.08.
63.08?
Yep.
I need to go back to the videotape and make sure, because I distinctly remember it being 60.3 something, but I could be making a mistake.
Or
Anyways,
you just moved the 3 over.
That's true.
Which sounds, pretty reasonable.
At the end of the day, you're still very far away from the $400 goal, which expires on April 28th. Did we just get a theme song there for a second?
Nope.
Oh, okay. All right, so it's Fuel TV 7. It's Renan Barão versus Michael McDonald. Are you making any picks? Because according to the site that you frequent, apparently all the lines are out.
Yeah, looks like the full card got posted. So I don't know if I'm going to make official picks, but I'm definitely going to give some ideas on what I'm leaning toward this weekend. And I might even give a pick or two.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay, but one last question. Before we get to the picks, did you make any picks this weekend?
No, there was no picks.
No picks?
Nope.
You took the weekend off?
Yeah.
You felt like after the debacle at 156, you needed to take a breath, you needed to think a bit, and really sort of evaluate your strategy.
I really, I just went into a dark place, really connected with myself and found myself again, and now I'm ready.
And are you changing your strategy in any way?
It might shift a little bit. As I said, I'm kind of up against a wall right now, so I'm probably gonna have to up the bets a little bit to a level that I'm not really comfortable with, but I have to do it.
And are you doing live bets?
Well, I'm going to be doing live bets, meaning I'm going to be able to bet in between rounds, before the fight. I'm going to be able to bet as long as there's a line out. So I have to keep myself honest with that.
If Rick... This is my favorite part of the show. If Rick makes $200, I'll drink gas.
Done. Make sure to favorite that so I can find that person.
Roddy Karate is his name.
Make sure to favorite that.
Okay. All right, so what do we got?
Let's start with the main event.
Okay.
Michael McDonald is an underdog. He's plus 240 to Renan Barão minus 320.
Oh.
This line doesn't really reflect how close I think the fight is. I might favor Renan a little bit, but I don't think that Michael McDonald should be over 2-1 underdog. I think that they're both similarly athletic, similarly good in the striking department. Barão may have a slight edge in wrestling and grappling, but I don't think that it's worth having him as a 2-1 dog. So I'm probably going to be betting on Michael McDonald. I just have to figure out what the amount is, but I expect a bet on McDonald coming.
Really?
I think that this fight on paper is pretty even. Now, it's hard to argue with Renan Barão's resume. You can't argue against a guy who's won that many fights in a row, but it's not like McDonald has any blemishes on his either. So if you look at it and evaluate it skill for skill, I don't think that McDonald should be a 2-1 dog. If it's I really see this as pretty much down the middle, 50-50.
How much do you think? I mean, that's the first time that I can remember you betting on a underdog. How much do you think we're going to put down
I didn't take Rampage Jackson.
Yeah, but I mean a smart underdog. Oh, I'm just kidding, Rampage.
Ouch.
Yes.
I'm not sure how much, but it should be a significant amount because I think that he has a good chance to. Out of the two, I think McDonald has more power, more ability to finish the fight on the feet, which I think that's where it'll play out. And I think that Barão's last two performances, while dominant, while in control of the fight, were not, overly impressive. They were obviously against really tough competition, but it's not like he just annihilated them. And I think that McDonald's going to, at some point, be able to put his hands on him, and I think that he might be able to finish this fight.
Wow. Wow.
Yeah.
That's a shocking statement right there.
I like McDonald.
I think that this could be the turning point for you.
You liking that?
I like that. I mean, it's an underdog. It's a main event. It's sexy. I like it.
This is an interesting card, so we might have some more like that.
What else are you thinking?
Poirier is the underdog to Swanson. Poirier is plus 105, and Swanson is minus 145. I also like the underdog in this one. I like Dustin. I think that Swanson's been on a tear. His last 3 fights have been, he's just manhandled guys. But I think that Poirier, his ability to mix in his submission game and his striking is among the top in the sport, and I really like his skill set going into this fight with Swanson. I think that at some point he might be able to, either through like a knockdown or some kind of trip or something like that, get Swanson to the ground and possibly finish it. But more than likely, it's going to take place mostly on the feet, and I think he's more than capable of hanging in there with Cub. But you obviously, Cub could land a knockout punch at any time in this fight, and it could be over just like that. But I think that as an underdog, the smart money is on Dustin here.
Whoa.
So that's another one.
Whoa. I think that what really is happening is that you are feeling the heat, but not so much that you're starting to figure out how to actually bet on MMA fights. That actually betting on the favorite doesn't make you money.
Well, that would be false, but
yes.
But yeah, there will be some more underdog picks than usual, and it's all reflective of the line. It has nothing to do with I favor I play it safe and only pick favorites, or I only pick underdogs when I'm in a hole. It's just the lines weren't reflective of what I thought was a good value, but now they are. I think that McDonald is a great value at plus 240, and Poirier is not it's not a fantastic value, because I do think that Swanson and Poirier are very closely matched, and it's not a ridiculous line, but I do favor Dustin in this one.
All right. What else?
I believe the next fight is Diabate and Manoa.
Yep,
is that right?
Yep.
Diabate is the underdog at plus 170. Manoa is minus 230. I think Manoa is going to win the fight. I predict him to win, but it might be worth taking a look at Diabate at plus 170, because this fight is going to play out mostly on its feet, I assume. And I think that Diabate can hang with most guys on their feet. I believe his last loss was that Gustafsson?
Was it Gustafsson?
Who took him down and subbed him, I think?
UFC 120.
But there's no shame in that. And he's a very high-level striker, and I think he's going to be able to hang in there with Manoa. But I think Jimmy will win the fight. That's one that I'm not going to make a pick on yet in terms of betting, but I might play Diabate or just stay away altogether. I don't like Manoa at that price, but I think he will probably win the fight.
Okay.
Next is Gunnar Nelson and Jorge Santiago.
And by the way, amazingly, Diabate lost to Anthony Perosh at UFC 138.
Well, there goes that.
Someone else is saying that these picks will be your undoing.
Very, very possible. With the way I'm running, wouldn't surprise me.
Really?
Yeah.
You're not confident going into these?
Oh, I'm very confident going into these, but I was also confident that Overeem and Rashad Evans would win.
That's true.
And Jacob Volkman.
Okay, continue.
We've got Gunnar Nelson and Jorge Santiago.
Yes. Can't wait for this.
I really like Gunnar Nelson in this one. And I think at minus 260, he's the favorite. Santiago is plus 180. I think that I'm going to go with Gunnar. I'm not sure if I'm going to play him straight up or put him in a parlay, but I like Gunnar in this fight. He's extremely talented. I can't even sing his praises enough. I think he's one of the...
No?
I think he's one of the top guys in the sport, and the sky's the limit for him. I think he's going to make it look pretty easy, honestly.
I kind of feel bad for Jorge in this sense, because, like, man, you come back to the UFC 170 and you fight this guy?
Yeah, it's tough.
But you know what's interesting about it? I kind of feel like Gunnar Nelson would be better at 155, and Jorge's a former 185er, and now they're meeting at 170. Kind of weird.
Those kind of things happen these days, though.
Oh, of course.
It's not even that uncommon anymore.
Sure, these things do happen in MMA, but...
Like, what's a good one? Oh, Rumble Johnson's fighting at heavyweight now, and Charlie Brenneman is at 155.
Oh, that is crazy.
And those guys fought at 170.
That's the craziest one of them all.
It's insane.
They almost shouldn't even count that fight.
Well, I wouldn't go that far. He made weight.
That's
I
true.
think.
That's
yeah,
true.
I think he made weight for that one.
That's true.
So let's move down to the next one. Shea Mills and Matt Riddle. I like the underdog here, which is Matt Riddle at plus 190. Shea Mills is minus 270. I think that Riddle's going to be able to make this one dirty. He's going to be able to get him up against the cage, clinch, takedowns. It's not going to be a fight where Shea Mills is going to be comfortable and just stand in the pocket and be able to unload on Matt Riddle. So I think Matt Riddle's going to be able to wear on him throughout the fight, and I like his value in this one.
So is that 3 underdogs?
Poirier, McDonald, Riddle, yes.
Wow.
And I might be looking at Diabate, but probably not.
Someone's asking if they should just bet the opposite of what you say. That's a pretty good...
Well, on the last card, they would have made quite a lot of money if they did that.
Maybe it's a bit of a, reverse psychology that you're doing on them.
Well, I can't admit to that, but no, that's not the case.
So that's the main card, right?
Isn't it 6?
It is 6. That was 5?
Yeah, that was 5.
Okay,
we have the last one is Tahuna and Jimmo.
Oh, yeah, I like this one.
See, I'm kind of torn on this one. I think that there's a possibility that Jimmo could win because his style is so... He's one of those guys who gets in and out, and he doesn't just hang around waiting to get hit. And I think that he might be able to implement that against Tahuna, but... let me read the odds, actually. Tahuna is the favorite, minus 210. Jimmo is plus 160. I think he might be able to do that, but if I'm picking right now, I'm picking Tahuna. I think that his hands are incredible. The beatdowns that he's been delivering lately have been great. Oh, his last loss was actually Gustafsson, now that I think about it.
Yes. 3-1 in the UFC,
It's the only one in a while that he's lost, and it was to Gustafsson. And I think that he's going to be able to, at some point, get his hands on Jimmo and hurt him. But I would not be surprised if Jimmo was able to win this fight. But I think this is one that I'm going to stay away from. I don't think I'm betting on either guy in this case. Although I'm high on Tahuna's hands, I just can't because of Jimmo's style. So I think I'm staying away from this one.
All right, that's fair.
There's some other interesting fights on the undercard, just to talk about them real quick.
Sure. And by the way, someone's just giving you props here. My friend Alizo is giving you props. He's saying at least Rick is honest about how bad he sucks. So at least you're getting some kind of love.
Make no mistake about it. Last week was horrible. And
2 weeks ago.
You're right. 2 weeks ago.
I only tune in to see if today's the day that Rick's chair will break. What's wrong with your chair?
I don't know.
He's just wishing for your chair to break?
I suppose so.
Oh, that's weird.
It's not very funny.
Yeah,
let's be honest.
What else are you thinking about?
Castillo and Sass, that's an interesting one. Now, I was in the same position the last time Sass fought, and I ended up going with Sass over Wyman, even though I made a game-tie decision. I had originally come in thinking thinking Wyman, and then I picked Sass on air. So this one, I'm going to be a little more cautious about and think about for a little more. But Danny Castillo and Paul Sass, Castillo is minus 110, Sass is minus 130. So that would mean Sass is the slight favorite, actually.
Mm-hmm.
I'm thinking I lean toward Castillo on this one. I think he's going to be able to stay inside Sass's guard and not get himself into too much trouble. Although, that's quite tough when a guy's throwing triangles at you every single second that you're on the ground.
Sassingles, actually, they're called.
Yes, Sassingles.
Right.
So I'm thinking I'm leaning toward Castillo. I might stay away from this one, though, just because Sass is so dangerous. And, that's a hard one to pick, but an interesting fight for sure.
Anything else?
Let's see. That's pretty much it that I'm looking at. There's some other.
By the way, today was the day many moons ago that Buster Douglas beat Mike Tyson. My friend Oreo Mans reminds me Rick might honestly have a chance.
Yeah. Upsets. Must be the thing to pick.
Yeah, that is true.
It makes me feel better. Thank you, whoever sent that in.
So are you actually doing any official bets today, or are you going to wait for the whole
I have to
Friday?
wait for the numbers, but McDonald is going to be bet. Dustin Poirier is going to be bet. Gunnar Nelson is going to be bet. And Matthew Riddle is also going to be bet.
We actually have a guy by the name of Gibster MMA that wants to know what you think of Ogle versus Grisby.
Interesting fight, and the odds makers have that one as dead even right now. It's minus 220, minus 120, minus 120. Ogle's really impressed me with just how tough he is and how durable he is, able to stay in fights. And he looked really good in his last fight. I think that was the one where he lost a tough decision. Am I wrong?
Ogle, yeah, he fought Akira Corsani.
And he had rocked him at multiple times, but
There were some who believed he actually won the fight.
right, yeah, that was a tough one, and I remember just being very impressed with that coming away from it. Whereas Grispy has kind of been up and down. He was looking like a future contender, and then his train kind of derailed a little bit. Obviously, the grappling department is going to be in the favor of Grispy, whereas Ogle's going to want to try and keep the standing a little more. I'm not sure who I would want to bet on, but I think that fight has potential to be really good, just from a fan's perspective.
And one thing to look out for, Josh Grispy, who at one point was supposed to fight Jose Aldo for the title before he got injured, has lost his last 3 in a row. You would think that this is do or die for him. My friend, and I apologize if I'm mispronouncing his name, Mike, it's either Boone or Bon. He's a great young writer. He works for MMAmania.com. He does amazing work, and you should follow him on Twitter. Mike, B-O-H-N, is his last name. He pointed out last week, and this is an amazing stat, which I expect out of you, every person on the undercard, every single person on the undercard is coming off a loss.
Wow.
That's crazy, right?
That is crazy. I'm looking at it now. Wow. Yeah.
I can't remember the last time that actually happened.
If I had to guess, I would say that never happened, but it could be.
So the point is, you think a lot of people, when you see that, you think that a lot of people are going to, try to go for broke maybe. I mean, there's a lot at stake here in the UFC these days.
Yep.
Any other picks before we go?
Nope. Just stay tuned, though.
Stay tuned for what?
For the picks down the line, for the numbers. And there will probably be some undercard bets coming as well.
Okay, and are you officially going to go the live betting route or what?
Yeah, I'm gonna be able to bet up until the book closes the line.
Okay, and just to let you know, there are some people who do like you. Some are saying, why am I being so mean to Rick? So this other guy's saying, I'm a Ricky Ever, which I guess is a play on, Believer and Rick. When New York Rick loses all his money, just give him another fake $100. Him losing and you talking smack about it is hilarious. So, there is some love being thrown your way.
I was feeling the love.
I like the picks here, Bob Roscoe is saying, which means
I was
he is
feeling
screwed.
the love on over the weekend when the MMA beat came out.
What about that? There's a huge movement online of people wanting to get you on the MMA beat without even winning the challenge. I mean, that would be like a guy fighting in a division, losing, and then all of a sudden getting a title shot in another division.
Well, I've been compared to Chael Sonnen before, so I think that speaks for itself.
I will say right now, if you lose this challenge, you will not be sitting. I mean, what do I tell the other journalists, the guys who have actually worked hard, who have paid their dues in this business, who have done what has been asked of them, and then all of a sudden, New York Rick, who fancies himself some kind of better, who has a Twitter account with a nice name attached to it, all of a sudden is sitting right next to them. Come on,
Tell them it's time to hit the road.
Do you even have a collared shirt?
You know for a fact that I have a collared shirt.
That's true. One. I know that you have one. All right. Well, those are the Rick's picks for this week. Follow him on Twitter, twitter.com/New York Rick. That's the handle. He'll be making his picks official on Friday. He may make them before, but knowing him, usually makes them on Friday. And then follow him on Saturday, because not only does he sometimes tweet out our videos, he also will be live betting. So check him out on Twitter, twitter.com/New York Rick.